Trust me, as your property lawyer, these 7 things can make or break your investment. Miss even one and you could lose millions or your dream home. Mabuhay kabayan! I'm Attorney Donna, the property lawyer. And in this channel, I will teach you and guide you on how to invest with confidence in the legal way. Story time! So I had a client, let's call her Anna. She's 32 years old and she was working in Italy. And then she was able to save enough money so that she can purchase her dream home. It was a house and lot in Laguna. It looked perfect. The price was fair. And the seller, very polite, very congenial, very nice to talk to. But there was one problem with this transaction. Anna did not check the title before she paid for the property. It turns out that the property was mortgaged, so the owner's duplicate certificate of title was with the bank, but she already paid 2.8 million pesos to the seller in full. Now she's faced with a legal battle against the seller and against the bank. So today, I'm going to make sure that you don't end up like Anna. I'll walk you through 7 critical documents that you must ask before you buy any property. Let's start with the one that most people forget and the one that causes a lot of heartbreak. First document. Can you guess? Of course, it is the owner's duplicate certificate of title. You have to ask for the original owner's duplicate certificate. Why would they say owner's duplicate? Because there's actually 2 copies of the title. One is with the owner, that's why it's the owner's duplicate. And the second is with the Register of Deeds. So if it's a land, it should be like an OCT or a TCT. While if it's a condo, it would be like a condominium certificate of title or a CCT. Check the name. Is this the owner that is transacting this property? Check the technical description. Check for any annotations on the title, which could probably be red flags, like adverse claim, mortgages. If there's an annotation of affidavit of loss, so that means the title is lost and the seller does not have the original owner's duplicate certificate of title. You might have to file a petition for reissuance of the title. So it's not too clean, as we say. Okay. But first, check if the owner has the owner's duplicate certificate of title. But then do not trust that. You also need to secure your copy of the certificate of title, and you can ask for it from the Register of Deeds. Second document is the updated tax declaration from the assessor's office. This also gives you an idea of the fair market value of the property. Please also check if the tax declaration is under the name of the seller. Now, if in that land, there is a building or a house, then you should also secure a copy of the tax declaration over that building because that should be included in the sale. Third document, the real property tax clearance. Make sure that there are no unpaid taxes. Ask for the official receipt or the certification that she has already paid all the taxes. Because you know what? Unpaid taxes, they stick to the property and not to the seller. If there are unpaid taxes, you can ask the seller to settle it first before you pursue the sale. Or you can also use this as a point of negotiation so that you can lower the price of the property. Fourth document is a valid ID and a tax identification number. Valid ID so that you can verify that the owner that's stated in the title is really the one that you're transacting with. You want to make sure that you are transacting with a real owner. Now, for example, the person that is selling the property to you only has a special power of attorney. I'm not saying that's a major red flag, but you need to investigate further. You need to verify if the owner is still alive. So, for example, the agent would just say, oh, I just have an SPA from my aunt or from my uncle because they cannot come here to sell the property. So what you should do is request for a chat, or like now you can maximize the use of internet or social media. So have a Facebook chat, Facebook call so that you can really see if the owner is still alive and if the SP is still binding. Because if trust me, I've seen a lot of transactions based on an SPA, and which is void because either the SPA is falsified or the owner did not give the express authority to the seller. Okay, so make sure you verify the identity of the seller. Fifth is a deed of sale, either a draft or the signed version. Make sure that before you even give the money, ask for an advanced draft of the deed of sale so that you can review it, or you can ask your attorney, or you can ask your property lawyer to review it for you, so that we'll make sure that your rights are protected based on the deed of sale. Especially if you're just signing a contract to sell, meaning either you're paying on installment basis, so there are more obligations or more bilateral obligations that are required from both the buyer and the seller with a contract to sell. That deed of sale should reflect all the important facts, like the identity of the property, the name of the owner, the price as well. So make sure those are the things that you have to review in a deed of absolute sale. Sixth document is a homeowners association or the condo clearance if it's applicable. So for example, if you're buying a unit in a condominium, you have to check with the HOA or the condo corp that the seller has no unpaid obligations with the condo corp. So some buyers skip this and end up being chased by the condo corp because then they would not recognize you as the new owner of the property. Or sometimes they have the right to not to allow you to get inside the property, no? Seventh, and hopefully not the last, but we just wanted to make this checklist concise, is the survey plan. Remember, a lot in the title is one thing, the lot on the ground is another thing. As I would always say it, your title is two-pronged. First is the actual title. Second is possession. So you need to know where the property is, what specific property you're buying, so that you can take possession of that property. So for example, if you're buying a huge piece of land, then ask for a recent survey or have the survey done by the geodetic engineer that you have hired. Kasi nga, marami na akong nakitang kaso, they thought they're buying 300 square meters kasi nung nakalagay sa title, but then in actual survey, lumiit na pala yung property na binili nila. So, 180 na lang. Sayang naman, di ba, yung binayaran ninyo? So, please, check out this video here, where I discussed the tips or the importance of hiring the services of a geodetic engineer. And if you are just buying a portion of the land, please also check out this video where I detail the steps on how you can transfer the title of that portion that you bought under your name. So what are our biggest takeaway for today's video? Owning property has always been a part of the Filipino dream, but you also need to check properly the documents before you can acquire your property. So I hope you learned something from today's video. So if you have any questions or if you've experienced this kind of problem when you were buying a property, please share it below, and then I'll make sure that I'll answer to all your questions and reply to you. And if you're buying soon, subscribe because I'll have more videos to share with you and teach you on how to invest with confidence the legal way. See you in the next video.